Okay, for the third match, we had Petr Yan versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, I should say. I'm sorry. I'm old school too. I should be calling him Jose Aldo. But good fight, very, very good fight. And I didn't make a prediction on this fight. I only made a prediction of the main event, which we'll get to that in a minute. But if I had to predict this fight in the beginning, I would have went with Petr, but I would have kind of had my heart set for Jose, because I'm old school, and I remember the old Aldo, who was just destroying everybody, and someone I looked up to, and I still do today. I mean, obviously this fight he did excellent in this fight as well. But Petr Yan is just another beast. He's just that new generation coming in. I think he's 27 years old. Jose's getting a little bit older. And not only is Aldo getting older, but he's not like 40 or anything, but he's had so many fights at such a high level that takes a toll, and that makes you older just in itself, But I think there's some good things that happen, and I think in the very beginning. So we'll start with round one. Round one was a feeling out process, a lot of feeling out process. It was a while before they started engaging, and I think that was out of respect to each other. I think Petr did a great job of allowing that. And not putting too much pressure, because Aldo's a very tough opponent who can do crazy, hard striking, especially kicks, and he's got some great punches, and he can land those at any time. So I think it was a smart decision for Petr to go ahead and feel him out a little bit and see what he was going to do. Both were feeling each other out. And then Aldo came in with some kicks, started doing his traditional leg kicks that are just absolutely brutal. One of them swept Yan, knocked him down. Another thing I wondered when I saw this. Okay, so obviously when he kicked the leg, it was kind of a sweep. So it's kind of a takedown, but it's also, we've seen kicks where it knocks the stability of the opponent because it's so hard that they fall. And the question I've always kind of had was, you get hit in the head and you get knocked down. It counts as a knockdown. It's a significant part of the round that you lose. But from a kick, I wonder how they judge kicks. Obviously, we've seen kicks where they've been adding up, especially with who is in this fight, Aldo, where he's kicking people in the leg so many times they can't even stand and they fall down. That to me would be definitely 100% considered the same thing as a knockdown from a punch to the face. I don't know about the difference of getting kicked, like in this fight where he kicked Yan. Obviously, he wasn't like rocked, but he did land a significant blow that took him off of his feet. So I wonder how they look at that and how they gauge that, because I think there's a lot of people who's been knocked down from punches that weren't out and weren't incoherent, but it still took them off their feet. So I don't know if they're basing this knockdown being a significant part of a fight, being immobilizing somebody for a second, a standing person, to putting them on the ground, like a takedown, for instance, or if it's the damage taken, and they consider taking a punch to the face where you get rocked a lot more damaging than a kick. Nonetheless, I got sidetracked. He did kick Yan, knocked Yan down from a kick. It was more of a sweep, but it was a very good kick. Jose's got some great kicks, and he implements them very, very well. I think, it went back and forth in round one, but I give it to Yan. I think Yan took round one. He came back strong. They're both landing big shots. It was a great round. Round two, I think Jose opened up a little bit more and started coming back. And we saw kind of some reminiscence of the old Jose Aldo coming in and landing big strikes and, just everything that he's got. I mean, he's got everything. And in my opinion, Aldo took round two. Round three, I think Petr Yan started picking it up. And another thing, I think Petr Yan kind of took, I don't think he took round two off, but he was definitely a lot slower and more defensive. And so that was making me wonder if maybe he was declining. Wasn't the case. He didn't decline. He came back in round three, did very good. Jose started out with hard kicks, hard punches again, as usual. Actually started the round really well, but it was just too much. Yan was trying to fire back, missing his mark a little bit. Started looking tired and slow, but he ended strong. And I think the ending is what really secured that round for him. So I give that round to Yan. So we have Yan 2 rounds, Aldo 1 going into the fourth. big round for Jan going to the fourth. Big strikes, takedown, just overall impressive round. Pretty one-sided. Jan takes that round, shows why he's kind of that next generation coming up. Round 5 was just a continuation of that, which was not good for Aldo. Completely one-sided. Gets him down, is punching him. And I want to mention this about the stoppage. You can say it was a good stoppage because he stopped it before he could have, I guess. Jose wasn't out or anything, but in my opinion, it was a bad stoppage because I think it should have been stopped before. You're talking about a guy who's, on the ground, covering up, taking a lot of punishment. The fight was not going his way. There was no way in my mind I could see Aldo coming back from that, from just a little bit in of Jan landing those ground and pound strikes. And then we had to just continue to watch it for a little bit longer than I think we should have before they stopped it. Again, he did stop it sooner than I've seen a lot of other refs stop fights, so thankfully he did do that. But when you consider the amount of damage someone like Aldo's taking, when you in your mind, like me in my mind, if I was the ref, I would have known he's not going to come back from that. He's not going to get up and knock out Jan at this stage. He's not going to get up and he's hurt. He's covered up. He doesn't want to tap. He's got pride like fighters do. He doesn't want to give up. So he has to just take this punishment. This punishment lasts. It's killing brain cells and it's causing permanent damage. And so I think it's very crucial that when you see something like that, you stop it. And if the fighter doesn't like it, so be it. We were seeing a decline in Aldo well before this happened. So, he had plenty of time to make the fight more competitive and when he was on the ground to get up and fight back and give a harder fight, or harder, I guess, defense against these ground and pound strikes, and it didn't happen. So, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was a late stoppage. I think it should have been stopped a little bit sooner. It was unfortunate to see Aldo lose. I love the guy. I've been watching him for a long time. Big fan of his. But Petr Yan is just the real deal. He's just a tough guy. And I think he's going to be the future of the division. So he's off to good things. And I do want to say, too, that, I could sit here and say Jose Aldo can fight another high-level competitive fight and win, for sure, and be confident about it. There's plenty of people out there that's fighting that's doing really well that I think Jose Aldo could beat. That being said, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see him fight anymore. I would like to see him out of care. I would like to see him retire. If not now, soon, and move on, just because I don't want to see him take this kind of punishment again. He's a guy who's done so much for the sport. He's a legend. He's an icon. He's someone I look up to so much. I hate seeing fighters when they get to a stage and they're having to fight these young guys that are coming up that have everything going for them. So much of an advantage in different areas of their youth and their training and their experience and the length of time they've been training in a variety of places. Where Jose grew up in Brazil, training mostly in Brazil. These guys are training all over the world now. It's like the sport is so big now. Your training partners, they're training with so many different great guys. Guys that are coming in now are just so much more at a different level. And so, yeah, I hope the best for him. And I hope he either gets a fight where it's more competitive and he doesn't take a lot of damage, or that he moves on. And I hate saying that. I know fighters make their living by fighting and that's how they get paid. But I hope that he has other opportunities and can pursue them and kind of move on from this. It's just what my heart says.